Howdy folks, my name is ReadyOpco, and welcome back to part number 13 of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. In the very last part, we cleared out dungeon number 5, and we're going to be immediately moving on into dungeon number 6. Gotta clear things up as quickly as possible, and using the help of a tool that we gained at the very end of the last episode, the Ether Medallion. The Ether Medallion, we're going to be able to open up the entrance of this. As it mentioned, it controls weather patterns and the polar winds, and somehow that is going to stop the storm and go ahead and open up the entrance to dungeon number 6 for us. However, before we head on in there, there's actually something here that I could have grabbed a very long time ago that I simply forgot about over to the right of the entrance of the dungeon here. Just right in this little cave. I'm sure you can imagine what might possibly... No, it's not in this cave. I thought it was in this cave. I could have sworn that it was this cave indeed. Am I totally wrong? Perhaps it is the one on the other side, for there is one over here as well. But one of these contains something good, right? Yeah, here we go. This is looking more appropriate for hiding something valuable. Ooh, and we've got a chest puzzle here. So I believe that you can only grab one of these chests at a time, and the one we want to grab is going to be the one on the left. The one on the right just contains some rupees, and as you could have imagined, go and grab a quick piece of heart before we actually get on into dungeon number 6. I know I was literally just saying, we're gonna hop right on in, you know, gotta clear things up quickly, and then I immediately stumble into the wrong cave. So, making good time, doing good so far, but I think that's a-okay. Dungeon number 6 is going to be full of stumbling as well, so gets you time to get real used to it before I actually come in here and wander around for a little bit. So, the very entrance of the dungeon is going to ensure that you have the hook shot. In a very similar way, almost nearly the same room setup was actually used in Ocarina of Time for the Shadow Temple in that game. If you think about it, it requires you to use the same exact item, you gotta use the hook shot, and the game makes sure that that is the item that you have before you continue on through here. These guys are actually a new enemy. Beamos is not a new enemy, though a frustrating return, especially in this kind of room. These guys are Wizrobes, or at least this game's incarnation of them. I believe that this is also an enemy that has actually existed since the very first Legend of Zelda. These were an enemy that actually functioned very similarly in that game. I believe they appear and disappear and shoot beams at you. Very frustrating enemy type. I'm not the biggest fan of those guys. Neither am I the biggest fan of these glowing fireballs in this area. I feel like the hitbox for these things is way bigger than they are visually, so I end up getting hit by them a lot more often than I would prefer to. Actually, I think I'm going the wrong way. So, as I was mentioning in the previous part about the last dungeon, so dungeon number 5 is very confusing and labyrinthian. Dungeon number 6 here, Misery Mire, is very true to its name. It is misery embodied, honestly. Oh, I think I've gone the wrong way again. See, this is what I mean, is that it is a terribly confusing place that I could have sworn that this is the way I was supposed to go, though. This is the way that I was supposed to go, though, right? Oh no. Oh no, guys. I did a practice run literally seconds, I beat the boss, and then I was here, ready to record, and now I'm getting completely turned around. It's because this dungeon is like it's an endurance round, quite frankly. It really pushes you as far as how long the dungeon goes, and I will bring up again, and hopefully for one of the last times, that cross-room memory that I continue to reference, having to actually remember the layout of different rooms as you continue through the dungeon, basically remembering back to places that you've already been and what you may be able to do with some new tools that you've acquired. This dungeon is probably the best for it, I think. The next dungeon that we're going to be taking on, dungeon number 7, that is going to be Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock is not nearly as challenging, I don't feel. Not to say that it isn't also a difficult dungeon, but as you can see, this place is like mean almost in its layout. It's really almost like cruel, I think is the best way to put it. it is at this point that I definitely feel like the developers were at a point, they wanted to make the dungeons intentionally confusing, and I'm not certain that confusing is the best way to make Zelda dungeons. It leads to a lot of, that's why I keep using the word stumbling around, because it really does feel that way when you're going through the dungeon. Like, it's less about not knowing where you're going and more about there being so many options of places to go that it becomes overwhelming. And I don't necessarily think that the extremely linear dungeon design of some of the later Zelda games, like, I was thinking back to it, and in Twilight Princess, almost every single small key in that game, if not every single small key in that game, is found within a treasure chest. Whereas in this game, they have absolutely no issue. Small keys under pots, small keys in enemies, just absolutely everywhere. They have no problem just laying a whole bunch. And as you can see, we have 2 keys available to us. I think before we actually get to the end of this dungeon, we may come across a point where we have 3 keys in our possession at the same time, which is significant, you know? That is not a insignificant amount of, you know, things that you have to keep track of. You know, where have I seen locked doors? Where can I access now? This dungeon is really testing you. So I think Dungeon 6 for me ends up taking the spot for hardest dungeon in this particular game, I think, just because it is so dang confusing, and I need another key before I go in here, actually. It really is a very, very confusing dungeon, and I apologize if that has kind of become a theme, talking about these Dark World dungeons, but I really genuinely mean it. The only reason that I'm able to go through these with the pace that I am is because I generally know where I'm going before I get into it. I've been doing practice runs for the ones I'm uncertain of. So I think that is really the only reason that you're able to see me coast through these relatively easily. Otherwise, for a first-time player, it's... I struggle to use the word unpleasant in design, but it really almost does reach that point, I think, where it becomes kind of unfun with how much you are stumbling around. And I think I still need one more key, is going to be right up through this passway. And then we will be able to actually grab the big key and move on through. It is kind of one of those cases where, again, the dungeon is really confusing up until the point where you grab the big key, and then once you have the key, it's relatively easy to know where you were supposed to go, I think. So, gonna make our way. I believe I want to go back into the big room, right? Yeah, back into the big room. As you can see, we actually haven't gained a map yet. I think that's going to be... not down here. Oh dear, let's not get too terribly confused. Here we go. Yeah, this is the one that I was looking for. You got the map. Neat. And I don't think that I actually have to go through this door. I could totally get to this big room another way, but since I've got the keys available to me, I think I'm gonna just take the easy path. I only need one key to continue on through the place that I was trying to get through before, over in the bottom left of this big room, so... I guess I was maybe overstating a little bit how much I would be confused, given that I did just go through that practice run, but, you know, it's not the easiest time, that is for sure. It is still rather testing my ability to remember where I need to go. So, I think, though, for being the hardest dungeon in this game, it still is really enjoyable. I feel like that there could be a nice middle ground that they could strike. There could be a really nice middle ground that they could strike between the linear dungeons of later Zelda games, where, you know, it's one key for every lock, basically, is kind of the thing that they went with. But I feel like if you brought back this type of non-linear dungeon design where you... giving the player a little bit of stumbling around and a little bit of confusion, I think, is a good thing, because it makes it that much more satisfying when you actually figure a puzzle out. Whereas the very linear design of, like... I keep bringing up Twilight Princess as the example, but even in Minish Cap, which is a lauded game and still takes the 2D overhead view that this game does, it's done in the same style. Even that game, which a lot of people love, I feel definitely falls into the trapping of being a little bit too linear. There's usually only one key for every given lock, and once you have the dungeon item, everything is just, it's a little bit too open and free. I think, like I was saying, there would be a really nice middle ground that I would hope that they would be able to strike. So, where exactly does this put me? Is this a convenient place? Yeah, I guess this is as convenient a place as any to go ahead and try and grab the big chest over there. As a matter of fact, I didn't even go in that room because I knew I didn't have the key yet. See, the conveniences of doing a practice run, I will forever, like, for actually challenging things like this, doing a practice run first is super, super helpful, actually. I'm glad that I took the time to... Okay, I can't get down from here. I'm glad that I took the time to actually do the practice run. It also definitely lets me... I can focus on the commentary more than the gameplay. That was something that I noticed about myself, is that I still have that bad habit of... I talk about the game just a little bit too much. I don't have an actual... Because I don't generally, like, have a topic of conversation in mind when I go into recording a video. It is always just whatever comes out of my mouth is what goes into the video. I don't really have any topics that I think that I have the appropriate level of, like, expertise on to really, like, broach as far as serious topics go. And then I feel like my, I guess I could have read the item description. That is the Cane of Samaria there that we've grabbed, filling up another slot in our item screen here. Just go ahead and gloss on over that, because what I was mentioning before is that commentary is usually better when I'm not talking about the game, when I have at least some sort of topic or thread to go on about, whereas I get a little too trapped into just talking about what is happening on screen, and it's like, I think a lot of people, they prefer, they probably, you know, alt-tab and don't actually visually watch the videos. So for some people, they might get some level of enjoyment, I guess, out of me just talking about the game. But I personally feel like things tend to come out a little stronger when I have an actual, like, topic that I'm going through. Like right now, literally, this is a perfect example because I'm able to just talk through what is happening on screen. I don't have to, like, explicitly call out to you, like, hey, this is what we're doing in a lot of situations, and I feel like that's a good thing. So, I would love to know what you guys think, though, actually. This is one thing. I don't usually ask for viewer engagement outright, which maybe that is the thing that I should start doing, trying to do more, is like, directly being like, hey, what do you think about this? But usually the reason I don't do it is because I get, you know, none or one response, and it's kind of like, cool, I'm glad I know what this one person thinks. Which, you know, I mean, I'm always happy to make any individual person happy, but with this sort of thing, of course, the goal is at some point being able to, you know, be popular. That is the hope with these YouTube ventures, right? You know, I don't have to be massive, I don't have to be super massive, but, like, successful? I don't think that that's too lofty a dream, and I think that without compromising my vision, I suppose, is the best way to put it. I enjoy specifically making this format of Let's Play video, where it's just, you know, me talking over the game in a sort of walkthrough style fashion. This is what I enjoy doing personally the most. So I would just really love to know how people feel about that, I guess. If they feel like I should just continue to try and be, like, even more walkthrough-esque, I suppose. Like, go even harder with it. Because that is totally an option. I can cut out all the fun business, but again, I think for me personally, it is better that I can take a more varied approach, talk about whatever I want, do the practice run so that I'm actually able to get through the dungeon in a reasonable amount of time. So, overall, I'm enjoying this project a lot. I'm glad that I was able to take some of the lessons from 64 and actually transfer them over here. I feel like you can definitely see a notable improvement from the previous project to this one, which, you know, that's always the goal, is that even if the channel in particular doesn't grow, and as a matter of fact, I've actually lost I've only lost subs since I started back up. I haven't gained a single one, which is kind of depressing. Or at least as far as net gain goes, I am at a net loss at the moment, which is kind of sad. But even with that said, you know, hopefully we can get there someday. That's the goal. And here we are already at the boss of dungeon number 6 here, Misery Mire. We have Vitreous. Vitreous is going to be a combination of some eyeballs. I cannot believe that lightning didn't damage me. That is extremely lucky, as a matter of fact. And, literally, do I even have to move? Do I even have to move? If you come in here with full health and the Tempered Sword, yeah, this is the boss, ladies and gentlemen. For the hardest dungeon in the game, you do not even have to play with your left hand. I actually took my hand off the controller and I'm just mashing the sword button because you don't need to do anything else. It usually doesn't go this well. Usually the smaller eyeballs before the big one drops are actually much more dangerous, and I forgot the boomerang! I was so enthralled with my ability to beat the game with only one hand that I forgot the boomerang. It's okay. We're gonna grab the crystal and move on out of here. That's a really weird position. It's like he didn't grab it in the center of the room. That was really weird. But hardest dungeon in the game, probably the easiest boss, considering you don't have to move. It doesn't always go that well, but that was a really lucky and good run there. I'm happy with that.
Dawson, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you. Ganon captured us because he couldn't break the seal of the wise men with his power alone. And then, using the wizard Ganon as his pawn, he drew us to the dark world. After cracking the seal with our powers, he sealed us inside of these crystals. He then gave us to his loyal monsters, but Ganon didn't plan on your getting this far. Now, Princess Zelda is waiting for you inside of Turtle Rock. Please hurry. Do you understand?
Yes, we have to save the princess. We have saved 6 of the 7 maidens, and all that is left is the princess.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this like you folks could not even imagine. Dungeon number 7, Turtle Rock, is such a fun place to go through, but let's go ahead and actually, there are some things that I believe that I can do within the game before that. So there was that heart piece that I wanted to collect. Oh, and then yes, I do remember now what it was that I wanted to do. So there are 2 other things before we actually end off this episode and get on into part number, wow, that's already going to be part number 14, I believe. Might be looking at getting this done 15, or probably going to end up being 16, I'm thinking, because let's see, this is 13, 14. Oh no, it might only be 15, assuming I don't continue to stall here, that is. But we've actually got a couple of things that we can do in the dark world before we get on into Turtle Rock here. And I'm trying to remember exactly where it is that I want to go. Death Mountain is a kind of confusing area. I know that the outside of it here doesn't seem all too confusing, but if you go too deep to the right of the mountain, you will find that there are many caves over there that are kind of interconnecting, and it can be a little bit confusing to actually navigate. So I'm going to take the easier path and just hit the... Actually, if I hit the Dark World button from here... This leads me to a very interesting situation. I don't think that I can actually do that. I don't think that I can hit the Dark World button from right there. I think I have to go to the bottom right here and struggle. So... Oh, and that's not even a... I thought that was a portal! Okay, apparently I don't know the layout of Death Mountain very well at all. Perhaps I'm thinking of Indeed over here. You can't access this area until you actually have the hook shot, so this might be the thing that I'm thinking of right over here. Yeah, indeed, I'm thinking that that is the case. And we've got a portal right down here. Yeah, there you go. That's how you get into the right side, or I guess the bottom half in this case, of Death Mountain in the Dark World. Cool, cool, cool. And if I'm remembering correctly, there is nothing up here? Yeah, nothing up here, but we can go back across this bridge. No, we can't. Oh dear. What have I done? Wait, why is this portal here then? Why? For what reason would it need to exist? Okay, no, there is a cave. There are caves. We can do things. I'm not going completely crazy, but on the other hand, sheesh, I was under the impression that, like, there wasn't anything over here for a good second there. Okay, can't get through that way, it doesn't look like. So I guess we'll try taking the other cave. I'm not even 100% sure what is going to be in these caves, if I'm being 100% honest. Oh, this is a shop. This is a shop? Dude, why do you have a shop right on the middle of the mountain? Like, who is your clientele? Who are you servicing? Other monsters? I mean, I guess that's the only thing, but then it's like, do non-friendly and friendly monsters, like, communicate? They have, like some sort of weird brotherhood there? This brings too many questions to mind. I'm just gonna stop thinking about it. It's unpleasant to think about, quite frankly. Okay, is this going to actually put us in a new area? It looks like it does indeed. Okay. Can only go up through this way. I'm hoping that this is actually going to be taking us to our destination here, because now I'm not 100% sure where I am. This is not the greatest situation, I gotta say. But I know that there's at least one heart piece over somewhere in this direction, if I'm remembering correctly. Do I have to take a chance down one of these holes? Well, I suppose if I have to do that, I will take the first one first, right? I mean, as any rational person would do. And does this let me even grab the treasures? Does it let me grab both of them? Because that would be pretty baller indeed. Oh, well, yeah, that was worthless. That was not worth my time whatsoever, quite frankly. Is that all it is in here? Is that seriously all that this place is bombs and 20 rupees? Or is this actually going to... No, okay. This actually does lead me up the mountain, which is good. Ah, yeah, here we go. This is exactly where I wanted to be. Perfect. Yep, it's this very... top reach of very top reaches of Death Mountain here in the Dark World. And if I'm remembering right... Pop the ether. Pop the ether medallion in these rooms and you'll be able to see the invisible pathway here, although it does go away immediately as soon as the effect of the pendulum? No, pendant. Medallion. Wow. That was a number of words that I had to go through before I remembered what exactly that item was. I think it's very rude, though, that they actually, made invisible floors. I feel like invisible floors are not a good mechanic in any video game, even if you have a way to make them visible temporarily. It is just not a satisfying mechanic. And now I'm actually starting to remember, I remember these rooms from playing the game as a kid. I would always get lost in these areas, which, big surprise as far as that goes. Death Mountain is a confusing place, as is most of the Dark World in general. Yep, want to be right here, pop the magic mirror. I believe this is going to reward us with another piece of heart. So that is 2 out of 4. Only got 2 more to collect, and 1 more heart container, if you can believe it. So we are very, very close to the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting ever closer with every successive part. Probably only got 2 or 3 more to go, 3 at the most. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed part number 13 of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. And in the very next part, we're going to be starting from this location, seeing if we can't get further in the Dark World version of Death Mountain. My name is reedyopgo, and I hope to be seeing you in part number 14.